Welcome, ladies. Welcome back. We're back to our summer webinar series, which by the end of the summer, you guys are going to know how to run a business, how to get it going, how to make money step by step. This is called Self-Made Mastery, and part 2 is taking off with your business. And we have a very special guest coming up. For my self-made ladies, remember, we are striving to become self-made, to be self-reliant and rich in every way. That's why we're here. I'd like to thank Coca-Cola, who's made all of this possible through their 5x20 initiative. It's a global initiative to empower 5 million women by the year 2020. And all of you listening to this webinar are part of a global movement in entrepreneurship. So thank you all. Thank you, Coca-Cola, and thank all of you for being here. So let's get started. This webinar is about your business taking off. I hope you all watched the first webinar where we really told you the basics. If you haven't, go back and watch the first one, because these webinars are 3 and they're all leading to this mastery. So what we learned in the last one, just to give you a quick update, is you learned about how to start a business, that you don't leave your company. You start a side hustle. You create something on the side. You live a double life for a while. You save 2 years of salary, 1 year for an emergency so you're not living hand to mouth, and 1 year that you can invest. When you have that first client, you land the plane. You go get a contract with that client and you start your business. You create an LLC. So it's an official business. So that business is in a safe. It's organized and safe. You get insurance. You go and find a CPA, a lawyer, or a legal Zoom to do your work. You get a bookkeeper. We gave you all those bases. It's the team. You're beginning to put a team together. And today now we're solid. We have all that. And we are going to show you how to take the next step in your business. So the question is, how do we take our business to the next level? Well, I'm not going to do this alone. When I have a killer mentor who's helped me, and I think you all need to know this. You cannot do this alone. You have to have mentors. You have to have friends. You have to join organizations. You have to meet other women. Entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs help each other. I have a mentor for many years who's really put me on the right path. Her name is Nell Merlino. And Nell Merlino is the founder of Count Me In for Women's Economic Independence. I mean, that's a very humble thing to say about you, because really she has been helping women her entire life become economically independent. She's brought daughters to work with mothers, which nobody had done. And really, you are the first person that told me we have to help other women, and we have to make this happen. So I love having you here now.
And I love being here.
You have taught me so much.
love being here.
I wanted to really begin this webinar with, I think, one of the #1 things you've taught me, which is, for all of us, once we do all the basics, we've landed the plane, we have a client, we forget that we need a business plan.
Absolutely.
And we think it's some grandiose, intense, 300-page thing, which is kind of old school anyway.
Yep.
And so I wanted to start with, I think, one of the great things you teach, which is the 1-page business plan.
It's my secret weapon.
Right? And it's good for yourself personally. Like, what do you want in your life as a human being, and for your business? So, can you talk to us about what goes into a 1-page business plan that's either for yourself? Personally, I've done this for me as a human being, and then me as a businesswoman. What are the most important things in that business plan?
The most important thing with the 1-page business plan is that you can do it over anytime you want. So you don't have to get stuck, but you need a plan to understand where you're going. If you don't have a plan, like if you get in a car without your GPS and you're going to a new place, how would you know how to get there?
That's a good idea.
So you're turning on your brain as your GPS to really understand, what do you want people to understand about your business? What's your vision? What's your vision for the business, so that other people can see it along with you? Because I think one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur, often you know what you're doing, but you're not doing a good job of explaining it. So understanding your vision is the first thing you need to do. How do you explain your vision in a couple of sentences? Whether it's your lifelong dream or a business you're going to do for 2 or 3 years to, make ends meet, whatever it is, you got to have a vision for it. Is it going to be a bakery? Are you going to make things to distribute through Starbucks or a grocery store? What's your vision? And then the next thing you have to do is to understand your mission. What do you want to have happen when this business takes off? What are you committed to? Because politicians have missions. Obviously, when we hear about space, there's space missions. They have particular jobs that they want to accomplish. So what's your mission? And then what's your strategy for doing all that? Because we all have strategies. We have strategies in our life, even if we don't call them that. And for those of you who maybe haven't done a plan before, you actually have. If you've had a wedding, if you've done a birthday party, if you've planned an anniversary party for your parents, you've made a plan for that event. And this is a one-page plan for your business. And the other things you need to have in there is, what are your objectives? How are you going to do what you want to do? And how are you going to measure your success? Is it that it was a great party and a great wedding? Is it that you sold a certain amount of things? And then what's your action steps? What do you have to do first? You pick 3 things. Nellie always talks about picking three things.
Not a million.
Pick 3 things that you're going to accomplish in the next month, in the next quarter. And if you write them down, you're so much more likely to do them. You got to write it down. 1 page is what I recommend, because you can do it in an hour, in an afternoon. You might take a week to really think about it. But you're not committing to writing the 30 pages that banks used to want. Everybody now wants something shorter they can read and understand and be confident that you know what you're doing. A 1-page business plan tells people that you know what you're doing.
So let's deep dive on this 1-page business plan, because I think what you're saying is that if you can't articulate in 1 or 2 sentences each one of these things that you have detailed, you don't really know what you want to do. I mean, one of the things that we both have, experienced is people have these ideas of what they want to do, and then when we go to events around the country and we ask people to get up and in 2 minutes explain it, they can't explain it.
They can't. And if you can't tell it, you cannot sell it, ladies. You have to be able to explain what it is that you're bringing to the market in a really short way that people go, oh, I want that, or I know my sister wants that, or my mother needs that. You've got to be able to explain it. Because I have listened, along with Nellie, to thousands of people, and I'm sorry to say that 1/3 of them, I don't understand what their business is. And the other thing is, when you have this 1-page plan, you're less likely to get distracted by people saying, oh, you should do this, or you think maybe you should try something else. You got to get it written down and do what you have written down until you know that it's not working. When it's not working, you change it. But we'll get to that as we talk about this. But it's important. I hope all of you, as you're listening to us, have taken out just a blank piece of paper and are starting to jot down notes.
That's right.
Okay.
So let's go deeply into each one. So your vision. Your vision is what type of business and what do you want it to create? I mean, it's very simple. What is the business and what is it that it does?
And if you're doing a business that's your lifelong dream, you've had a lot of thoughts about that. Particularly when we describe things as dreams. You've seen something, somebody you want to become, something you want to create in the world. Think about that and try and reduce it to a couple of sentences. What is it that you want to have happen? We know the lady that invented Spanx. She wanted something that was going to fit under any kind of clothing that made everybody look less lumpy. So if that's your dream, what is your dream? So that if you want to share a family recipe with everybody in your town, get that kind of vision in your head, because vision is about what the owner sees. What do you see, and what do you want other people to see and buy from you?
It's also like what happened when I was on the road last year promoting my book, Self-Made, is I would talk to women and I'd say, look, where is your pain, right? Sometimes in your pain, something bad that happened to you, there is a problem, something that wasn't there for you that you can solve. In the technology world, in what they call lean startup, they just say to you, find a problem in your life and go fix it. Either disrupt an existing business or create a solution. Or it could just be that you clean houses and you go, my vision is to have the cleanest houses that people just go, my house is, like I always love Fabuloso because I feel like Latinas use Fabuloso a lot. And whenever you go into a house, you go, that's a Fabuloso house and it smells like really clean. It could be that you just have a real clear vision of how you want to do the work that you do.
And also how you want your customers to feel. I think that's what you're
feel
talking about
and
here.
To say about your work.
Yes, that if you do a great job at something, Because most businesses that women solve, and I think anybody, is about solving a problem. And so it's Spanx, it's better cleaning products, it's better makeup products, it's better technology products, better software, depending on what you do now and where you see there are these big holes that you know how to fill. And with this one-page plan, you can write down how to do that.
And I think within your vision, you also have to think about how big do you want your vision to be? How much money do you want to make? Like why is that such a dirty word for women?
I don't know.
It's not a dirty word for me, I'll tell you that. How much money do you want to make? You almost have to, the reason you have to write all these things down is because otherwise I find that women diminish their dreams. Like they always tell us less than what they really want. It's almost like they're embarrassed to dream big, right? What is that vision and how much money do you want to make? And are you willing to live the lifestyle of what you say you want to make? Because if you're saying, I want my business to be $1 million or up, then that's a certain lifestyle. And you have to want that along with the vision. Or if you say, no, I'm going to raise 3 kids and I'm going to do something that's $50,000 a year for now. Doesn't mean 3 years from now or 5 years from now you don't change it. But I think your vision has to be very succinct, very clear. And your vision has to be basically, what do you want to do and how are you going to do it? Right?
And what are you selling?
Yeah.
What are people, you've got to express your vision in a way where when you present your vision, people have an understanding of what they're going to get from you. What are they going to buy from you? Because you've got something great to sell. So I would think about that.
And I think a lot of times when I meet, especially multicultural women, they sometimes tell me they have a vision for a thing and I go, but you're Latina or you're African American or you're from Africa. And so sometimes when you include, you forget to use your original, your uniqueness in your vision. And that's what makes you different. Absolutely. So something to just think about. Okay, let's keep going. Your mission.
Yeah.
So here it's really your pain. Like, what is it that you want to leave this earth having accomplished? I mean, that's a very heavy question.
So I think it's helpful. My mission in life, and has been for 40 years, is to advocate for, promote, and help women and girls be economically self-sufficient, economically independent, and for girls to understand that they're visible and valued for themselves. So that's my mission in life, and I look for ways to live that mission in all the work that I've done. So for you, what is that for you? What is that for you? Nellie's an extraordinary storyteller. I think if I describe your mission, it's to tell not only her own story, but other people's stories and how they've done great things. But what is your mission, particularly related to this business as you're writing the one-page plan about? Do you want everybody in your community to have whatever you're selling? Do you want all women to have it? Is it something for children? What do you want to change in the world? What do you want to change with your business or your product?
But I want to be careful with that too, because a lot of times when we talk to all you ladies about your mission, so many of you come back and say, well, maybe I should be doing a nonprofit that saves the world or whatever. Okay. That's not what we're saying, okay? We know that all of us have a deeper reason for everything we do, but you know that I tell you ladies, mission and money. Right? If you're not making money, if you're not putting the oxygen mask on yourself first, if you're not solvent, in my book I say there is no true empowerment until you are financially self-reliant. And that is very true. And we can both tell you as women that are not 20 anymore, that if you don't make your own money, you cannot save the world. If you haven't saved yourself, you cannot save anyone else. So your mission is something that you're going for. And that you incorporate in your money making, and maybe at some point when you make so much money, you devote yourself full time to it. But it's inside the idea. It's not the whole idea, right?
Yes.
That's very important.
And your mission in this case has to be something new and different. I think in terms of how it manifests itself in a product or a service.
Let's go deeply into this mission and intention. And I think there's an exercise you can do right now to really catch yourself, right? So we want you to really write down, picture the life that you have written in your plan. I think this is something that I think people they go, I want to do this. I love it with artists, because artists say, I want to be a singer and I want to do this and I want to be on American Idol. But then you have to picture all the steps that it takes to get there, because I think people think that some of these careers or businesses or whatever are glamorous, and in fact 5% of the time it's you get an award or you make whatever. The rest of the time it's math, legal, manufacturing, all these processes that really are very. So we want you to write. You're writing this business plan as you go along, and this vision and mission. What does that look like when you wake up in the morning? What does that look like in real life? Right?
Yeah, how do you live it? How does it manifest itself? Because there's a reason why, even if this is your own business, they call it work, because a lot of it is still work. And in fulfilling your mission, you've got to understand the steps, which we'll get to later in the plan. But how do you operate every day within this vision and mission? Because you are the thing that's going to make it come alive. So I think that's really important to get.
Well, and I think a lot of women that we meet, once they go into whatever they thought they were going to do, they don't realize, I don't know if I want to do this every day. It's like somebody who sings a song and they have a hit song, and then they have to sing that song 30,000 times on tour. And they're like, I hate the song now, Sometimes you pick a career that in theory sounds great, or you think it's a good idea. There's a lot of holes that you could fill. But it's not, and that's why we always go back to what's your pain, because sometimes if it's not really something that is your mission, that is something that, I've met women around the country I met one woman whose husband had beaten her up. And she created a massage business for people with trauma, people coming back from the war. She could never let go of that business because it was so much about her story that she could really live it every day, over and over and over again.
Well, and I think would understand how much people would appreciate her hands.
That's right.
And her helping them.
That's right.
Because she shares something with them.
So we ask you that because this is like the checkpoint where you ask yourself okay, now I wrote down this one-page business plan and I'm writing it down. Let's imagine you're in a movie and you are the actress playing the role of that business that you're running. Does that still resonate with you? It is a good question.
Well, I think the other thing about this, once you write it down, because so many of us still think that this kind of thing happens to us or happens to you. This is turning it around where you're actually making it happen. And it is at this point where you really get to decide if this is what you want to do. Nobody's going to make you do it. This is a choice that you're making. So you really do need to try it on and see, is this what I envisioned, or was I thinking of something else? And when you have a group like Adelante, or when you're working with other women in self-made, you can try it out with people and see if, I don't know, I can't imagine if I were to say to somebody that I wanted to go into a business where I was going to just be really quiet all the time, all of my friends would say, not really, Nell, that's not a good thing for you to do because you like to talk to people, and you like to be out with people, not sitting in a room all by yourself. Yeah. So I think it's also understanding some things about you and what do you like to do? What do you like to do in the future? What do you think, what do you see that this looks like? And try it on. And you get to try it on with a one-page business plan. You can write it down, try it for a couple weeks. If it's not what you like, you can ball it up and start again.
You can start again. But I will say, for instance, last year, I went on this big tour for my book. And my dream was to write a book and to really put all this in a manuscript. And I didn't realize I was going to be on the road 275 days. And so if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But in fact, there are also some things that you have to do to get to the other side. So don't think that anything, no matter what you do, there are parts of what you do in the business you run that are not fun or that you didn't expect it. I had this vision of I was going to go to little bookstores, and I didn't realize when you sign books, it's 4 hours and then you get on a plane and you go to the next city. But it was something that I don't regret having done it.
But aren't we all very glad that she did
write the book? And I'm very happy I did too, because I get to talk to all of you. And, I also realize I get so many letters from all of you and you ask so many great questions. So, so what we're saying is not everything you do in your business you're going to love every day.
Oh, no.
But there are some things that are deal breakers that really don't match your personality.
That is true.
Right? So let's talk about your business plan as the roadmap that's going to get you to your dream. And that's why this is such a beautiful document. It's really a spiritual journey to even write this business plan, because it's really very connected to you as a human being and your journey. So we're going to ask you some questions that you want to ask yourself in putting this together, which is like, where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you going?
And really think about what your ambition is. Because that's another word that sometimes we don't want to talk about money and we don't talk about ambition. But ambition is really about purpose and dreams, and we all have that. If we just sit with it for a while, we do have a purpose and we do have dreams. And that is what ambition is. And women way too often say, oh, I'm not really ambitious, or I don't. We are. We're ambitious for our families. We're ambitious for a whole lot of things, for our children. So start to think about and hone in on what your ambition is, because that'll help you not only in your business, it'll help you write this plan, but it'll help you in your life. Because, you know, I have to tell you a story. My mother was a great painter. And I asked her, oh, I don't know, about 20 years ago. My mother's passed away now. But I asked her about 20 years ago what her ambition was. And she said to me, she said, Nellie, I knew I could get a likeness when I was 12 years old. So she had an ambition to be a good painter by the time she was 12. And went on to be a great painter and painted portraits and all kinds of things. But we know this about ourselves. And I don't know that my mother had ever said it to anyone, but it was because I asked her that she came back with the answer. So we're asking you, what is your ambition, so that you can start to really exercise that muscle and start expressing it, because that'll make you a successful business person.
Yeah, because so many of you, I mean, this is the number one thing I say to you on the road, you diminish your ambition. Like when I ask you, what is it that you want to do? I mean, I get so many women in the food business that say to me, well, I really like to cook. And I go, well, do you want to be a chef? Do you want to own a restaurant? What? Well, kind of like diminish. And it always boggles my mind, because men, when you ask men what they want to do, they tell you right now that they are what they're going to be 20 years from now. Like they aggrandize themselves and we diminish ourselves. And so, you know, I want you to really think about what is your highest and best purpose. Like, what do you really feel capable of accomplishing? Because if you write it down, if you declare it, you know, I always say in my book, to be chosen, you have to choose yourself. If you don't choose yourself, if you don't declare yourself, if you don't show me that you love yourself, how can I help you or choose you or you know, tell someone else to use you or to hire you or to use your services?
Right.
So I think that's an important question. These are important philosophical questions in order to do this work.
How are you going to get there? Once you understand your ambition, how are you going to get there? And if you're watching this webinar, you're on the road to understanding how you're going to get there. Because Nellie has shared with you already all these wonderful step-by-step, because any goal, dream, ambition that you have, you get there in a series of steps. You don't get hit by lightning. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, I always love the stories of the people who were discovered who've been doing the work for 40 years. So you have to take the steps to fulfill your ambition. And if that is meeting other people who are in the same business to see what they do and spend some time with them, or doing webinars like this, there are so many different ways. I would say the most important thing, which is what you're doing if you're listening, is to start.
To begin.
Is to really begin, because you don't have to know everything to begin. You've got a roadmap with Nellie. I know you do. And if you follow it, you will be so surprised at how well it works.
Yeah, and I think the big question, I guess, that all this leads to is, what is your dream? What is your dream? Even if you can only say it to yourself, but eventually you have to declare it. And what are the steps? Because dreams without action are just, they dissipate. Nothing happens. And so everything we're leading you to is action. And right now the action is to write it down. We're making you come out of the closet. Like, it's great if it's in your head, but you have to actually put it on paper and show it to people. And that is the beginning of everything, right? It's like, you could be having all these little businesses on the side, everything I told you to do in the other webinar, side hustle, do all this. But at a certain point, now you have to declare even to yourself, this is a real business. And this is a real plan for my life that includes my business. And this is kind of the beginning of everything. It's your declaration to the world. It's saying, this is who I am.
And really remember, so that you don't get intimidated at any point when we're talking about this, it's one piece of paper with a couple of lines for your vision, a couple of lines for your mission. It's not a lot of writing. It's a lot of thinking and feeling. What have you imagined doing? If you've already started it, how does that feel? And getting that down on one piece of paper. So it's not a lot of writing. It's a lot of thinking and probably a lot of talking with colleagues and friends to see how to, what you've been saying so far. But it's really forcing yourself to condense how you're thinking about this so that you can start telling other people.
So one of the things that comes up when you're doing this plan is you start realizing, oh, I never thought of that.
Right.
I never thought about that. And that's good, because don't get frustrated, because that's part of why you're doing this, to go, oh, I didn't think that through. So one of the things that comes up is, what's my market?
Yes.
Who am I selling to? Do I know my competition? I've had so many women tell me, and I feel really bad when they tell me, they go, oh, I have this idea. And then I go, oh, I already saw that idea.
Yes.
And they didn't even bother to Google it.
There is no excuse now, ladies, for not understanding who your competition is. Whatever you're making, whatever you're thinking of doing, you can put 2 or 3 words in Google, see what comes up. Surprisingly, sometimes you do it and nothing comes up, so you know you are onto something. Or lots of things come up that aren't what you thought of. So but you really must do it now. There is no excuse. Years ago, market research was very expensive. You had to do all kinds of things. A lot of small business owners couldn't afford it. Everybody has Google or any other search engine. I'm not, either any of them. But you really do have to research. Once you understand what your vision and mission is, you've got to see if anyone else is doing exactly the same thing. And if you do, see how they're doing it to see if you have a better way of doing it, because then you know you're going to be in competition with them. And that's fine, because you may have a better version of it. So don't feel like, oh, somebody else is doing it, I can't do it. But you can't walk around saying, I'm the only one, or I'm new, or whatever, when you're not. So market research. And the other thing, you must know who your target market is in this one-page business plan, because sometimes people say to me, oh, I work with all women, or when I started out, I would talk about working with all women, and I narrowed what I did to women with micro businesses who wanted to turn them into million-dollar companies, because it's too big. You can't market to everyone. So figure out who your target market is, and figure out who your competition is, and understand them. And then you will spend your money more wisely, and you will reach the customers you want to reach.
So I think the bottom line of what you're saying now is that the question you have to answer in that one-page plan is, define your unique proposition. Define your unique proposition. So going back to those of you that are, I've met women around the country that are vets, or they're disabled, or you're Muslim, or you're African American, or you're Latina, whatever you are. Don't sweep all that under the rug, because you are an expert in that market.
Yep.
And so if I'm going to eventually give you money, or if you're raising money, or you're borrowing money, one of the elements that's going to help you is that you have a unique proposition, a unique point of view, a unique audience. So keep that in mind in this page, because sometimes we're just writing a thing, and it's like that's the thing under your nose that you forget. You try to be like everybody else.
It's so true. I know, working with a lot of women veterans, they've spent so much of their career in the military trying to fit in with all the fellas that they forget that what's unique about them is that they are a woman veteran, because there are not that many of them, and they have a unique set of experiences that if they're in security or some kind of software development, they're often some of the most sophisticated people out there, and they forget to mention where they learned it. So it's very important to understand your unique selling proposition as an individual and with your product or service.
So I think what we're saying is we want you to always think different, new, better. How can you be unique in what you do? And so I think let's go now deeper into, again, we're still on this business plan, but we're helping you really define your life. So when you do this, now we know your vision, your mission, your objectives. We now have made you think about what makes you unique. Now, how are you going to make money? How do you measure success? In today's age, it used to be, we always say, it's how much money do you make? But we live in an era where not all businesses are about making money. Some of them are about creating more eyeballs in social media, right?
Well, creating more eyeballs so you can make more money.
So you can make more money, but what is the objective? Because sometimes in the beginning stages, that comes first. Which comes first? Or it's, getting more customers or followers or whatever the objective is. First, you have to be clear what is your financial metric objective, or your numbers. Let's call it numbers.
Yeah.
And in which order do they come? And let's be clear about that, because The other thing is we can go around saying, oh, everybody's successful. We just, no. And I've talked to a lot of women too, where I go around the country, I meet them, and I go, well, that's great. You're doing all this and you're getting press. Well, are you making any money? No. Do I have any customers? Not yet, whatever. No, you have to hold yourself accountable.
Your business needs to be interesting and fun, and you're living your dream, but part of your dream always is that you can pay your bills, you can take care of your family as you grow your business. So you need to be accountable to yourself. If you decide, as you're writing this plan, that one of your objectives is to make $10,000 a month selling something, and after 3 months you find that you're only doing $5,000 a month, then you have to adjust your plan and understand, do you need to make a second product? Do you need to make that product different because of what people are asking for? So you have to constantly find a way to assess whether you're being successful. And it's really simple. You make a plan, you say, I'm going to make this much, and it happens, or you make so much more than you planned, then you need to adjust the plan maybe to hire more people so that you can make more stuff.
That's right.
It goes both ways. I think we always think it's going to be worse. Sometimes you have success beyond your wildest dreams, and that also requires a different plan or a new plan when you find out that everybody absolutely loves what you're selling and you need to hurry up, find a way to manufacture more of it. So it cuts both ways. Understand how you're going to measure your success so that you then can plan around that success, or some not so successful things where you can change gears and go for the thing that's making you the most money.
I think it's important to say, and I say this in my book, math doesn't lie, okay? Math is true. So if your business is not meeting its success metrics, whatever those success metrics are, if your business is not meeting the success metrics, something is wrong. And people throw in my face a lot because I say in my book, and I tell people that I started a business at 25 and for 4 years I made no money. Why didn't I give up? And they say to me, well, how do you know when to give up? Okay, just to be clear, I lived through that and I, hung in there because I had side jobs and all this stuff. The truth is something was wrong. Something was wrong. And I'm trying to save you guys so you don't have to go through 4 years of it. My business model was wrong. When I started going to meetings at the Chamber of Commerce and the entrepreneur organization, I realized, I got to tweak. So I don't want you to think that you have to spend 4 years. If something is not working, don't wait forever and ever. That doesn't mean you quit. It means you go get help. All the stuff we talked about in the first webinar. You find a CPA, you have people look at your business plan. You are doing all this stuff step by step so that other people can come in and go, this is wrong, and then you pivot. But let's be clear, it doesn't mean you have to be super profitable day one, no. But if you're not hitting any revenue numbers, if your metrics are like so far off from your plan, something is wrong. Math doesn't lie.
So true. I've had situations with people who were doing well, but not what they had hoped and what they were planning. And they've shown one financial expert their numbers, and they literally can point to one thing and saying, if you did this for less money, you would make this much more money. Mm-hmm. And because the person who had the financial experience looked at hundreds of these, they knew what the number was that was off. If you're new to this, you wouldn't know. So looking for help, and particularly around your finances, because there are people with experience, and you got to talk to your girlfriends who are doing well to find out who they use. Really check them out. But they're going to be able to look at your financials and sometimes spot things that you wouldn't spot in 100 years. So looking for help around, after you define your metrics, will solve this problem that Nellie had, which is going for a long time without making money, because she's right. There wasn't something that was right, but P.S. she figured it out because here she is. So
yeah, it's not the end of the world, but we're trying to help you. It's like having a kid and saying, why do you have to make the same mistake I made? Right. We're going to tell you how not to make the mistake. So let's say you're not hitting your metrics. Not the end of the world. What are some things you can do to change it? We're just giving you some possible things that could be wrong and some possible fixes. Some fixes to this problem. So it's all about your strategy, right? Mm-hmm. What's your strategy to change what's going on? Well, in metrics, right, if we're looking for sales, customers, numbers, eyeballs, math, we're looking for better math. How do you do it? One, marketing, right?
Yep.
We're not marketing right. We're not using everything.
How are people finding out and understanding what it is you sell and how do they get a hold of it, and where are your testimonials about how much people love it? You know, and there's so many different ways to do that now.
Right.
But you've really got to hone in on how are you going to sell. More importantly, figure out how you've gotten the customers you have now and see how you expand on that. Often our first customers are word of mouth. You have to go back and ask them, what was it about what I sold to you that you love so much, so that you can start to expand people's understanding of that.
I think customer acquisition. I think we forget that our job is to acquire more customers. And in this day and age, you can also buy some of those customers, right? Like you could go on Facebook, you can use social media to get the eyeballs to see your work, to even decide if they're interested. I think a sales plan, what is it that we're doing to sell more? What are some ideas? I mean, there's incredible knowledge and technology about sales and how to increase sales in all businesses online. Operations, so much money. Remember we talked in the last webinar, I talked about lowering your overhead. Exactly what you just said. Sometimes people are bringing in a lot of revenue, but they're spending more than they're making. Operations is usually a dark hole, down a rabbit hole, that's the first thing any auditor or anyone helping you will look at and go, where's all this money going? This goes back to from the time you're young, not budgeting for yourself. You're not budgeting for your company, right? You're getting too many employees too soon, too much overhead, too much. In the last webinar, I said, when I go into an office and it's a new company and I see it's so grandiose, I go, it's gonna fail.
Because they run out of money.
And it's not about grandiosity. We live in an age where people and investors and banks want to see people that are fiscally responsible. Accounting and banking, so many people don't do what I said in webinar 1, which is get a bookkeeper. Their numbers, they don't even know where they are. You know, they don't know if people owe them money. They don't know if, you know, they have no cash flow to pay the employees.
What a lot of people don't do early on in their business is send out bills and invoices.
Oh my God.
The number of people that I know that probably have $25,000 out in invoices and they're telling you that they need to raise more money. My first question is,
receivables.
Get your receivables, get going, you know, and sell more. If you have that much out in receivables, you could probably do that twice again if you would bring the money in so you can, you know, pay yourself and do all the things.
I think that is the worst thing I've seen is that people don't realize it. If a corporation gives you a contract and you pass December, they're not going to have the money in the budget anymore. You have to, and I know it's uncomfortable. People hate it. But you have to call all the time and collect the money. And if you're uncomfortable with that, get somebody to do it. Because if that is the number one way I've seen businesses go down. And then we wrote down here pivoting. Understanding that maybe you're doing 90% of the things right and one of the things you're doing is wrong. Be open to hearing that you have to tweak your business. That's what happened to me in those 4 years. I had to pivot. And so these are just some strategies and how to correct the issues in your business. And then the action plan, which is my favorite.
Every day.
You know, I tell people, everybody says, oh my God, you've done so much. And I go, you know what? I'm really a turtle. I'm slow as molasses. I don't do anything fast. I'm not impulsive in any way. But I do 3 things a year. I have 3 things I decide every December 31st. What are my 3 accomplishments in a year? And sometimes one of the 3 is laser hair removal, which takes a year. Not everything has to be a grand, I'm not gonna make $1 million. No, laser hair removal, losing 10 pounds. That might be all 3 things for a year. And 3 things a week, every Sunday night. All right, what are the 3 things I need to complete this week? And 3 things per day. You would be surprised how much you accomplish if you just make your goals smaller and just say 3 things. But an action plan is very important because, again, and look, I'm very understanding because it happens to me too. We do have days where we get up and we go, oh my God, no can do, right?
Too much.
Where you feel flooded, where you feel like you are stagnated, you're overwhelmed, you know, by what is wrong, and you have to break it down. I'm telling you, the only way to do this, like literally sometimes when I feel that way, I go, okay, I'm gonna clean my closet today. Sometimes you just have to do something that you can accomplish and finish so you feel like better. And you go, okay, what's the next thing I can accomplish today? You know, and really break it down because sometimes so many things are going wrong, whether it's And it's when you combine your personal life and your business life, so that you flood, and you really do. Those are the moments that in order to get through it, you have to break it down to something very small that you can accomplish in an hour.
I would say all of that is true. And the other thing that you need to understand in your action plan is, when are you going to need other people to help you?
Very important.
Because there are things, none of us can do all of it by ourselves. And we keep saying, that you need to ask for help. There's going to be a day in your business where there needs to be 2 of you or 3 of you or 4 of you. And how are you going to divide up that work in a way where you can do what you're best at, and you get people around you, whether they're part-time people or interns or volunteers or whatever it is, who can pick up and do what they're best at to make your business really successful. So understanding in that action plan, what's a task and timeline to help you figure out when you're going to need somebody else, when you can handle the work. Because all of this, you get to decide. And the sooner you get happy about being in control of your life and knowing that you can make a plan and stick to it, you can change it when you know that it's not going well, that's what empowers you the most as a business owner, is that you're in charge. All the reasons we start businesses is because we don't want other people telling us what to do.
That's right.
You get to tell yourself what to do in a way that's usually sometimes not nicer than a boss that you had, but you need to start talking to yourself in a way where you motivate and empower and inspire yourself and the other people around you to build your products and sell them in a way that's uniquely yours.
I also think that, when you do that, you forget, and I forget this a lot too, that as you're a leader.
Yeah.
You're not a follower, you're a leader. And so you have to lead the troops. You have to communicate to your team what's the timeline, what's the strategy, so you have to write it down for yourself, know it for yourself, and wake up every day and communicate very openly what are the expectations and what must we do and in what order. And I think that leads us to the next thing, that I think we forget that a lot of people in the world begin things, but they don't complete what they begin. And that business is about beginning and completion, and then being consistent in the type of work you do. Because as a business owner, whether you make a product or you sell a product, how you deliver that product, the consistency of the value proposition of what you're doing, the consistency of the product itself, and every part of that, how you answer the phone, how you mail things, the whole thing. And that requires stamina. And I think that entrepreneurs have to cultivate an extraordinary amount of stamina. There are days you wake up and you just don't feel like doing it another day. And, that is what leads to greatness. That is the difference between mediocrity and greatness, is this understanding that really you're on a mission with yourself. And you're on a mission at the highest and best use of yourself to be very careful not to say, even as a business person or as a person, I'm going to go do this to then give up. Then don't say it. Don't do it till you're ready to do it, because you must complete. You must be consistent in your work, and you must have the stamina to get through it all.
I think one of the things that I know about myself is that I have a lot of ideas. And over the years, what I've really had to do is put those ideas someplace, because it distracts you sometimes from, some of the ideas have made me lots of money and made me very famous. But you really have to be careful when you're creative that you develop a consistent way of delivering on what you think about and what you come up with, so that you're just not sort of spinning around, making things up and not doing them. So or find a way to make a line of products where you can keep working with that creativity in a way that's consistent with the plan that you have.
So a couple of other things. We say that, your business really speaks to you.
It does.
It speaks to you. It's telling you every day what you need to do, and it's telling you where are your issues and where are your problems. And it's like almost if you can talk to it, almost like it's a person. It really does speak to you. Would you not agree with that?
Absolutely.
And so we want you to think about that. Listen to what your company's telling you it needs. And follow the money. I said this in the first webinar. Don't climb a mountain the hardest possible way. When business shows up, Even if you don't think it's 100% what your business should be doing, listen to that. Maybe there's more money in that area than in the money you think.
Yeah.
And so follow the money. So let's recap for you. What is your business plan telling you you need? It might tell you need funding, right? You're more successful than you've ever been, but now you don't have the money to manufacture.
You may need people. I'm a big proponent that you can have it all as long as you don't do it all. So you've got to get to a point where you understand that now's the day. You know, you go through the process of understanding when you can quit your day job. You also, at some point in a business, understand that I need help now. I need people here every day or every week or every month, you know, when I have big sales or whatever it is. But understand how to start to delegate some of the responsibilities that you've shouldered as the owner to give it to other people.
Yeah, it may show you that you're ready to move out of the garage in your house and that you need office space, that your team needs. Like right now, I'm looking for office space because we grew out of our office space and we're not working well together. So it might be telling you that you need a succession plan, that maybe you know, what if you start feeling sick and you realize, without me, there's no business. At a certain point, if there's no you and there's no business, there's no business. So you've got to think of some of those things. So again, this is another way your business is speaking to you. And we want to just tell you, we've said it before, you don't have to do this alone. You know, if you need help, you know, you can go to business schools that have students that could take this on as their project. Sure. You don't have to spend money, that can look at your business plan, that could even write a deeper business plan for you. You may not even have to do it, or that can really do analytics for you. Do you need help? Mentors need mentors. You are a leader, but a leader that's really smart knows when they need help. Can't do it all yourself. So this is a really good one too, which is, at a certain point you create a business, and we've asked you, said, look at this business plan for your own life. Is your life congruent with your business? And that's probably not a problem you have in the early stages of your business, because you're just trying to make money and get it going. But later on, you realize maybe what I'm doing isn't what I like to do. Like, I think for me, I can answer that. I think that at some point I started making so many TV shows and I had so much staff to make the TV shows, that I started making some TV shows I didn't even like. Yeah. And that I didn't really agree with. So what does that mean? You have to then redo your business model. How can I make money doing fewer things, but making them the quality that I want? And those are questions for a later stage entrepreneur, not early on, but truly very important. You will get to that point.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to spend more time with your family than you were in the beginning of the business, you may have to adjust it. Or you want to go travel more or do something completely different. You can set your business up where you don't have to be there every day.
That's right.
But that happens
later.
After success.
So we want you to leave with some real information. I hope you heard today that you know how to write your one-page business plan with your mission, your vision, your strategy, your objectives, and your money metrics. Money, remember? I hope you heard that we want you to know your market and differentiate yourself. What is your unique proposition? That is the really big question. Once you've got this one-page business plan, that has to be in there. We hope you heard us say, follow the money. Your business will reveal itself to you, and you'll know what it really is. It's going to start out looking like one thing, and it might end up looking like something else. And that you align your business ultimately, not right away, but ultimately with your personal business plan for your life. That it really speaks, that your business is you, that it's congruent with who you are, that you're proud to represent it. And I think that those are key things. Anything you want to add to that, No?
I would say more than anything, enjoy this. Mm-hmm. Enjoy writing this plan. You will feel so much better after you've done it. Because a lot of those questions that you have, you're going to answer for yourself, or you're going to know who you've got to call up to find out more. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing is to try and get rid of that feeling of being overwhelmed. And know that you're in charge. You chose to be in business because you want to be in charge. And if you do the plan, you're on your way to being just really free.
So we hope you've enjoyed webinar number 2. In the first one, you heard all the meat and potatoes of how to get a business started. Here, what is the plan for your business and your life? and how to really look at that in a deep way. And we have a third one coming up, running a business that actually makes money. Yeah. We want you to run a business that's actually successful and that you're successful. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to show you how to manage money really well, how to diversify your business, how to stay profitable and be in business for a long time, or sell the business, whatever it is your goal is, but how to really be successful at this. And we're going to show you step by step. I hope if you haven't seen the webinar before that you go back and watch it. This is really a 3-part series. We want you to leave really feeling grounded in what you're supposed to do step by step. I have to thank my dearest friend Nell Merlino, your one-page business plan, which I love, and our friendship for so many years, and your mentorship that I so appreciate and so love. For my self-made ladies, remember, we are striving to become self-made, to be self-reliant and rich in every way. That's why we're here. Thank you to Coca-Cola and the 5x20 initiative, which makes this just happen every single time, and it's bringing you all these webinars at no cost, which makes me so happy. I want to thank you all, and remember, I am self-made and you can be too, and adelante!